Debbie got $300,000 saved for retirement, and every night she tells herself that's pretty good. But here's the hard truth. She's 58, recently divorced, and lives in a modest townhouse outside Denver. When we ran her numbers, it turns out that the $300K nest egg might not even cover her basic monthly expenses. So today I'm gonna walk you through some real numbers and show you exactly why she's on a shaky base and what you can do if you're in the same boat. Hey, I'm Patrick Imperato, a former fighter pilot and now retirement income strategist. Also a dad of 2 little kids who think I'm a jungle gym. If you're approaching retirement with that nagging feeling like, I've saved, but I don't feel safe, this video is for you. We're diving into the Shaky Base Income Profile, using my hands-off income system and the free calculator to spot income gaps before they blow up your retirement. All right, let's take a look at the income health calculator for a Shaky Base Profile. First, let's look at a 30,000 foot view of what is this income ladder thing. So on the left, we're gonna have our total bills, and on the right, we're gonna have all of our income or our income streams. So the idea for the income ladder is that we're gonna divide our bills on the left and our income on the right into the most needed and most reliable to the least needed and least reliable. So we're trying to match the risk profiles for each of the bills connected to the income stream. So let's take a look. First, we'll have housing. The most important thing is to keep a roof over your head. Whether you buy or whether you rent, keeping a roof is very important. And so what we're gonna do is match that with the most reliable income stream, which is money from the government or sometimes a pension. And so the money that you pay for housing should be connected to the money that you get for Social Security or a pension. Next, we're gonna go up in risk levels. Then we have utilities, keeping the lights on, literally. What do you pay for that and how do you pay for that? Well, rung 2 is paid for by annuities and treasuries. Next, we're gonna go to rung 3, groceries and essential, paid by bonds and CDs. Healthcare and financial bills are paid for by dividend stocks and REITs. And then finally, leisure, transportation, fun, and future are gonna be paid for by real estate and small businesses. Again, we're matching the importance of the bill on the left to the reliability of this income stream on the right. Let's take a look at what Debbie did and see her example. So Debbie is 58 years old. She's from Denver, Colorado, recently divorced, but a longtime HR professional. She's got 5 years out, but she loves gardening, church, and Sunday dinners. Her retired with a 401k savings, and she plans to start using Social Security soon. She owns a small rental property and has a modest townhouse with no mortgage. So think HOA and so maybe some small other types of fees. She's unsure about her savings and if it will actually last, and wants peace of mind to know that she doesn't have to walk that financial tightrope and figure out what that balance is. So her overall monthly bill is $2,300, again, 5 years out, and her nest egg is $300,000. The challenge, what does she do with that $300,000 to cover her $2,300 a month bill? So that is what the income ladder course teaches and solves for, is you have this chunk of money, you have this nest egg, and you have this requirement, you have these monthly bills. How do you marry those two up so that they equal the same risk level for the income stream compared to the bill? Let's look at Debbie's bill. So she went through all of her credit cards, all of her payments, and she clumped all of them together in different rungs and different categories. You can either do this with a spreadsheet or you can do it with different types of software. We give you different resources that'll help you along the way. But the goal is to figure out how much you pay for stuff every month. So she paid for her housing, like HOA type of stuff, and some tangentials for $600 per month. She then went, her utilities were $300, her groceries were $600, healthcare was $400, and her leisure and fun money was $500 a month. That all equals $2,400 a month of what she's shooting for. She wasn't really sure about inflation, of whether she wants to be risky or less risky, or she was kind of confused. So what we did is we just took the standard normal inflation number of 3% and planned for 3% increases every year. So this month, right now, Debbie will go and spend $2,400 to do all of the things that she wants and needs to do. That's her house, that's her food, that's her fun, that's everything. In a year from now, in that same month, those exact same things will cost $2,472. Not a huge amount, but we want to plan for that change that happens every year. And in this case, we're going to use 3%. Next, let's look at that 300K income and how she divided that up. So first, Social Security is what she planned on. $1,400 coming in monthly in a stable, low rung, so first rung, stable, low rung ladder. Next, she had some corporate bonds that she wanted to put in for $200 a month. These are semi-stable, so they're not as reliable as the government. There could be some inconsistencies, and so we put them in semi-stable and rung 3. Then she had bonds, and she got $400 a month from a bond fund, again, semi-stable. Dividend stocks are a little bit more variable, right? Like companies go through ups and downs. They're not as consistent. And so we want to predict that they may not be as reliable as the government. And so we want to plan for that lack of predictability. So we put in a variable level of predictability and we put it on rung 4. And then finally, that small real estate, bringing in $150 a month. That can be quite variable, right? Think of somebody moving out, a tenant turnover, needing to replace a roof, whatever it may be. It's quite variable. And so we'll put that in the variable category and then put it all the way to the top to rung 5. So let's see what the starting ladder looked like. First, if you summed everything up, her total bills were $2,400. 5 years out from retirement, and she's currently making $2,350. So $50 short a month, not a huge deal. But that's only when you sum everything. If you actually break it down into risk and reliability levels, things look a little different. So let's take a look. This is her coverage dashboard. So what we do here is we take what she wants to pay, that's $618, remember after inflation, and then how reliable is the income stream that she's going to use to pay for that bill. So right now it was the $1,400 Social Security. Awesome, very reliable, low monthly bill, $618. So she's well covered, 227%. She actually has an excess of $782 a month. She can use those for other rungs or other things, but the reliable, keep a roof over your head, check, doing great. Next, utilities, $300 a month, but we didn't have anything allocated there for that level of risk. So maybe she uses that $782 and pays for the $309, but the idea is to understand that she could have taken a little bit more risk than Social Security, not a lot, but a little bit more to spend on those utilities. And so this shows her that there's a $309 gap that maybe could take a little bit more risk. Let's keep going up the rungs. So next, rung 3, groceries, $618. This one she's doing pretty well. She's got an effective coverage, again, that reliability, of $510. So she's covering about 83% and only has an $18 gap a month. So well within a range or ups and downs. Next, rung 4, $412. Now we're starting to have a little bit more difficulty. We only have $7 a month to cover $412. Same thing with leisure on rung 5. We have $515 that we want to spend per month, but our income stream is only producing $105. So overall, her income health score is 55. Right in the middle, it's still in the red zone, not great. We see an effective coverage of must-haves is 151. So what does that mean? We basically clump rung 1 and rung 2 together of keep a roof over your house and keep the lights on. And how likely are you to keep paying that bill based on the income streams that you have? And in this case, she has 151% coverage. And then her monthly shortfall is $387. So if she wanted to cover all of the bills, she would need $387 more, depending on the reliability of those income streams, to be able to do that. So her completed ladder looks like this. Bills, $2,472. Her predictable income, $2,085, which means she has a $387 gap per month. But where is that gap? Let's take a look. So in rung 1, she wants to spend $618. She has an income stream to cover $1,400. That gives her an excess $782. Great. Lots of extra money there for that rung. We go up to the next one, wants to spend $309. We don't have anything at that risk level. So maybe if she wants to keep a more conservative approach, she just uses the excess here from Social Security and pays for the $309. Perfectly fine there. But she could invest or change the income stream to something that gets her a little bit better of a return and bump up the risk just a little bit to see if she could cover that $309 and make a greater or better return. Next, groceries, she wants to spend $618. She's getting $510. So we have a little bit of a gap there, $108. Then healthcare and financials, $412. only bringing in 70 bucks. And finally, leisure and transportation, 515 goes to 105. So she's at a loss of 410. What this means is she has a real strong base for her house, but everything else starts to get a little bit red. And so there is an opportunity for her to use some of her funds and use some new income streams and take some of that lower risk money, that rung one money of 1,400, and bump it up on the ladder. Thinking about investing in more aggressive income streams. Maybe something in a dividend stocks or more bonds and CDs. Maybe even actually adding some treasury bills or treasury bonds to do a bond ladder to be able to cover that 309. The goal is to use this as a tool to understand a risk level. It's not to tell you what investment to pick. It's not to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but use this as a tool to be able to understand if you want to pay for your housing, the most important, most conservative thing, what income stream do you have that connects with that? And as you go up the ladder, do you have bills that match up with income streams? Or maybe you're too conservative, you have too much money at the bottom of your ladder, or you're too risky, you have too much money at the top of your ladder. This is a great example of how a Shaky Base Profile and using the income health calculator can be a wonderful tool to better understand your individual allocation or individual types of income streams and bills and how they marry and match up together. When Debbie saw that number, I could feel the weight hit her. I told her, look, this isn't failure, it's just clarity. We made some shifts. She created a bond ladder to cover her next 10 years of housing plus some food. She used tips to protect against inflation that were baked right in and built her dividend portfolio with more reliable dividend growth stocks. She even lined up some real estate that weren't exactly rentals, but were going to add passive income later down the line. We didn't chase the returns. She chased reliability. Debbie's new plan covers 100% of her essentials without touching her risky assets. And she said something that I'll never forget. I feel like I finally got off that tightrope. If you feel like you're walking that same retirement tightrope, if your income plan sounds good, but maybe feels risky, here's what I want you to do. Download the Income Health Calculator below. Book a free income ladder call with me or my team, and we'll walk you through your real numbers, just like we did with Debbie, and show you that if you're building your retirement on solid rungs or a shaky base. And hey, if nothing else, you'll walk away knowing the truth, which if you're anything like me, it's always better than wondering at 2 a.m. if you're gonna run out of money.